from Diane. Is it
Yeah,
Diane?
I did not either.
She posted last time, she posted in the little group section.
Oh, did she on the discussion board?
Yeah, on the discussion board. But I can't get into it unless I post something.
Ah, that's silly to me sometimes, that
Yeah, I can't,
especially with ones where you just kind of have to talk to each other. So
right.
I'm just gonna say test post. This is so I can access the discussion board.
Right.
Wow, my fingers are not working yet this morning. Yep, she did post in there.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. Um, I guess then I'll go ahead and just kind of read what she's got here because she just answers those questions: what's going on, what's interesting, how would you start the discussion, things like that. So I'll just kind of read those as our summary of
Oh, perfect.
the case because we
Great.
have to summarize it anyway. So what's really going on in the case? She says, I believe the biggest issue is the pressure from the investor. The two companies have not worked together long enough to have the confidence that will develop over time as long as each side delivers results. So I could see that where the investor saying maybe we should do a little bit longer training. What's interesting about it? I found it interesting that the Ritz-Carlton believed that the employees were ladies and gentlemen. This is a fundamental belief in how they treat their employees. The fact that the Ritz-Carlton feels that the employees are on the same level as the guests is a testament to the way they treat employees. How would you start the discussion? I would start the conversation by discussing what a great business model the Ritz-Carlton has and the refreshing way that the employees are treated. What conclusions that can we reach? For the most, for me, the most important conclusion is how important trust is in all relationships. That's a good point. And what would you do to alter results if there are any? She says, I would make sure that the investors understood that I was listening to their concerns and reassure them in a very non-defensive way that there is a proven track record of success supporting the methods used by the Ritz-Carlton. I would emphasize the long-term goal of many decades of success. So those are kind of her summaries, and I think those make a lot of sense. And so if we just want to kind of jump into it, then the issue kind of, or I guess they're asking us, what is the issue going on in this case? What do you think it is in your mind, Shalise?
I think it's this 7-day kickoff, the importance of it, and the fact that he's reconsidering it. I think that's the biggest issue.
So you're thinking that he shouldn't reconsider it, or that it's probably kind of wise to look at it? Where are you leaning at?
I think he shouldn't reconsider it. I think
Yeah.
I think it's proven to work. I think it does more than training. It helps the people buy into the philosophy that Ritz-Carlton has, and it sounds like they're well prepared in the 7 days when when it opens up. So I just, if it ain't broken, type of thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The only caveat that I would throw in there is that this new partnership that they have it's different than their normal just hotels.
Yeah,
They're adding in the condos, the big shopping areas, all the different restaurants. So they're adding a lot more into what they've previously done. And so while I agree that the 7-day kickoff is a great program and it has worked in the past, that I can see this kind of like thinking of, okay, well, this is a little bit different than what we're used to.
yeah,
Maybe there's something else we should look at. But I agree. Like, I love the 7-day kickoff. Like,
right.
reading about it just made a lot of sense. And
Yeah. Well, I think you're right.
looks like,
So you're saying expand the 7-day program.
yeah, that maybe, I mean, 10 days. I don't know. You have to do anything super drastic, but just because it is a little bit different than just a regular hotel opening. And I think that's probably where the worry from the investors coming is. They're going, yeah, we know that this 7-day kickoff that you've used it in the past and that it works, but this is new. You've never created something like this. And so do you think, and maybe the investor should have approached it in this way, is do you think maybe because it's different, we should add a few more days to this kickoff? Like, and kind of approach it in that sense instead of just kind of saying they need more time.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
That's a really good point. I actually see a lot in the church. People come into a new calling, as a president or a leader, and they're like, I'm going to fix everything and I'm going to, save the program, even if it doesn't need to be saved,
right.
type of thing. When really, I feel like the best thing to go in is say, hey, what's working the best? Let's build on that.
Yeah.
So I like that idea, like 7-day program works, let's build on it so that we can, meet all our needs. Let's find what's working and make it greater.
Right. Yeah. And that's the only thing that I would consider. Like I said, I think the 7-day kickoff will probably work for them in this instance. Like, I don't think it's going to end up being an issue, but I could see where the investor would be a little bit worried.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
So I guess we talked about why it's important. So some of the analysis that we wanted to kind of go over is to define a competitive advantage and then to discuss what the Ritz's competitive advantage is. And to me, a competitive advantage is just something that separates you from all of the competitors around you. Like, so Ritz-Carlton, it's a hotel, a lot of different hotels. So they have to have something that sets them apart from the other hotels in the industry, which will give them some sort of an advantage. And to me, the advantage that they have is their service. They try to go above and beyond, like Diane said in her little summary, that they try to go above and beyond and treat their employees as guests. Like they are ladies and gentlemen, and they try to treat their guests all in that same way. And so, is that something you agree with? Do you disagree? Do you see another advantage that they have? What do you think?
No, I totally agree with that. In fact, it says like day one in the 7-day kickoff, when the COO comes in, he's like, we're not in the hotel business, we're in the service business. All the other, amenities of the hotel are a side thing of the service industry that we do, which is what he preaches. And then he pulls the managers in. He's like, let's talk bottom line and sell rooms and stuff like that. But that is their philosophy. And I think that is what sets them apart, is we're a service industry that also happens to be a hotel.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that goes into another question that's here, is what is the Ritz selling? And I think it is that service. And while service can be elusive and kind of hard to perfect, I think that the 7-day kickoff helps them to be able to do that, because other hotels, they have to provide a service as well. They've got maid service, they've got room service, they've got all of these things, but there's something about the Ritz-Carlton that sets them apart, and it's I believe that it's to their 7-day kickoff and how they prepare for the opening of their hotels. And so I think that, like you said, when the COO comes in and says, we are in the service industry, that's what they're promoting. They're promoting that they want to serve their customers in whatever way that they can. I think about when they had people come in from overseas, or like at an airport, like they've got a little mini room at the airport. Like, this is what you can expect when you come to the Ritz-Carlton hotel. Like, that's really cool. Like,
right.
Most other places you don't see that. And so I think
their customer recognition program, that's incredible to me. A monogrammed pillowcase, like their number times, like that's incredible. But knowing what the customer's wants and needs are and anticipating it, because you recognize that customer, that's huge. That customer recognition program, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's that, and then like when they remember the specific example, but like based on their location, like wherever they were, they would kind of tailor an experience based on the area. Like when they were in Washington, they took the horse-drawn carriage to afternoon tea with a big group of people. Like
to the cherry blossoms. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's like a specific example of like, hey, we're going to blow you away with what we're going to offer you.
Yeah.
And those are things that sets them apart. Let's see. Okay, this question, this is a good question. To describe the leadership values of the Ritz, how would you describe the leadership values at the Ritz?
Leadership values. You know, I love the emphasis that they put on their people, and that, I mean, the dishwasher can go so high up. Where did the COO start? He started like, I'm not sure it was a dishwasher, but it was low.
Yeah, I remember reading that too. I don't remember exactly what it was though. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
like
they are loyal to their employees. They are invested in their employees, and when the employees feel that, that's hilarious. Your dog.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
We just got a dog, and for some reason she's barking at something. I don't know what it is.
That's funny. She's totally not bothering me. Oh, I just turned on my speaker. Yeah, their investment in their people. I mean, that when a dishwasher believes that they can rise that high, that's incredible.
Right.
And I think that's leadership. I think that's I can't think of the right word, but that's investing, really.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because it shows, I mean, that what that means is if that somebody that's that low in the company can become, just to use very general terms, that means that their superiors are invested in them to try and prepare them for those roles. And so if they don't look at that dishwasher, to just continue using that example, as just a dishwasher, they look at him as a future manager and say, well, here's what you're doing, and let's look at ways we can make it better, and let's give you some more responsibility to prepare you for this next step. Like that's huge. That as an employee, to be treated in that way would just go in, like, just in strides to your morale at work, your desire to continue to perform well, like all of these things, just because they see you as a future leader in the company. So
yeah, well, and I think when you're the dishwasher and you're watching the COO, that changes too. Like, you know, you hear about these new executives that come in and they get rid of the parking space for themselves because they're going to park wherever everyone else does. It feels a little bit like that. You know, it said like the COO will go in and teach them how to set a table. Like it feels like it feels a little bit like it's important to them to remember their roots at the same time. No matter where they get up, it's important to remember where they came from and respect that person there because they were making the beds once too or whatever. I mean, it sounds that way. I might be reading too much into it, but
no, you're right. They did do that. They were talking about the just giving specific examples of like how to fold sheets and things like that. Like those were things that were important. Like, oh, that you did a great job. Here, maybe do it this way, and it'll be a little bit better. So, yeah, I think you're right about kind of remembering those roots. There's not a lot more to go over. We already kind of discussed whether or not they should lengthen the amount of time, and I think we have good reasons on both sides. I can see both sides of it.
Well, I think I can see it. In fact, when I was writing my paper, I was trying to do like a if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broken type of thing. And really everything I'm learning in business is you should constantly be looking at how to improve. You should constantly be looking, you know, how to make it better, which doesn't mean making it longer all the time, but I think in this case it might. And so I think you're right. I think it would be better to expand it a few days to get them ready.
Yeah, and it really, like, just seriously, like a few days. We're talking like 2-3 days max.
Yeah.
just because of the new programs, and like it's just going to be a little bit different than what they're used to as a company. I mean, that was one of the biggest things in the case that they were trying to emphasize is this was a new partnership. They had never done anything like this before. And so, yeah, you've got a program that works and has worked for years. And so that's great. Use that, but then try to institute some areas that you can focus on. Okay, you've got the hotel side down. How are you going to treat your customers that are in the condos? How are you going to treat the people that are there just for the shopping in the shopping areas? Like, what kind of training is going to be needed for the employees that are working in those areas? And so that's really just kind of where my mind was going, is what is how to change it in that way. And maybe you don't even add days, you just add areas of focus during the 7-day kickoff. That you hire another trainer of some sort to come in and train this specific group, because sure, not everybody is going through all of the same exact skills trainings, because everybody's going to be working in a different area. And so you just add another area of focus.
Yeah.
So
I like that. And it makes me, is it McBride? Yeah. McBride, who is the Ritz-Carlton. It gives me respect for him that he's listening to this concern, because a lot of times, I mean, it clearly works.
Yeah.
The 7-day program works. The Ritz-Carlton clearly knows what it's doing in a lot of areas. And he really had an argument if he wanted to go in and say, listen, we've been doing this a long time. We know what we're doing. You don't need to come in and tell us how to change it. But it sounds like he's listening to the concern and considering if it's really something to be concerned about that he needs to change. So I think that's another thing that shows that the leadership at Ritz-Carlton, they're listening to the concerns of people.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is great. And I think that goes kind of with what Diane said about trust. She mentioned that in this, it's always important to trust the people that you're working with. And so that's, I think that's an important concept to take away from this. And so that leads kind of into what principles, if any, from this lessons reading apply to this case. So like, I don't know if you've had a chance to read yet all of the stuff in the lesson material, and because I haven't either yet, but even just taking it a step further, and what principles in life can we take back to this case?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. That's a good question. Let me think about it for a minute, because I sneezed and I lost my focus.
You're fine.
Well, I think the trust principle is an important principle. I think the listening principle is an important principle. I think I'm trying to go back to the influencer that I've been reading and well, we've been reading,
Right.
and associate a little bit with that, like the influence. And I think a lot of these people that they're pulling in are these leadership people that can make a difference, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the people the Ritz-Carlton has to hire to be successful. You know, changers, people who can see things that need to be done and do it, type of thing. I'm trying to think. Do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, when we talk about principles, I think about just the values that the company holds. Like they understand who they are as a company, and the kind of industry that they want to be, or not industry, the kind of company that they want to be. And so, like you said, they're hiring the right people for that. And I remember a reading once where it talks about having the right people where they're supposed to be. Like you could have a really great hire, but if he's not a good fit, then it doesn't make a difference. Like he could excel in all of these areas, but if he just doesn't fit the mold, then it's not going to work out. And so you want to hire the right people for the right purposes. And I think that the Ritz does a great job of doing that. They understand the kind of people that they need, and the people that they hire understand what the company as a whole wants to do. And so together they're able to build this, they're ladies and gentlemen who are employees to provide this excellent level of service. And so the principles, I would say, they go along with trust, but then also just an understanding of the values of your company.
Yeah.
Are really important.
Yeah, that's huge. That's Jim Collins' Good to Great. Like, get the people on the bus, but get them in the right seat on the bus.
That's where I read it.
Yeah, such a great, that was such a great book. Yeah, and I think also their focus on people is an important principle. And especially for something like the Ritz-Carlton, who could be all about, the $1 million in art and the ambiance, and, it could be all this uppityness but they're really focused on the people, and not only their customers, but the people that work for them. They're invested and they're focused. And I think that's an important principle. And I see that, I'm in the Young Women's Presidency a lot, and we'll plan these events, and it'll get so huge, and I'll be like, but it's about the girls. It's got to be about the girls. Like, none of that's about the girls. That's all about, the decorations and making it huge and this, I don't know, some weird contest or something, but we forgot it's about the girls. It needs to be about the girls. And I feel like the Ritz-Carlton does keep that focus. It's about the people. What is it? Does he say we're in the people business, or we love people, or
something like that?
Something in there. The vice president of human resources said we're about people, or something like that. We got to love people. So I think that's an important principle, and in really any business success is to remember it's about the people. And when you get there, everything is going to be successful after that. But like the waitress test, like have you ever been with someone out and they treat the waitress so bad that it's embarrassing, like that, like just remembering that everyone's a child of God and treating them, I mean, they call them ladies and gentlemen, but I think the principle is treat everyone kindly,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great point. I think we've covered really everything. Do you have any other comments or anything that you wanted to discuss about this that we've left out?
No, I don't. Is it me, or are these cases getting harder to find?
They're getting harder and longer, and yeah. So that's always fun when you're trying to balance out work, life, and school at the same time.
Right, and it's the end of the semester and I'm tired. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
All right. Well, I'll
almost there. Home stretch.
I know, right? I think one more, and I'll lead next week. The thin ice one, negotiating on thin ice.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
So I'll post this to the discussion board, and
great.
Yeah, we should be good to go from there.
Did you like this time better, or do you want to go back to the other time?
It really doesn't matter to me. I'm flexible. So if you prefer this time, we can continue doing this time. That's fine with me.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll just email you after I get back from this funeral. I'll understand what next week looks like. I just got to finish this. So. Sure. Okay.
No problem. And then, and again, whatever day works for me too.
Okay.
I can be ready on a Tuesday.
Right.
I typically don't get to the case until Tuesday, like start reading it and putting it together, but I can read it beforehand.
Okay.
And so whatever works is fine with me. So.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.